So, you want to hear a story, huh? One about treasure hunters. Have I got a story for you?
Adventure, mayhem, guns, aliens, long-lost civilizations, guns, vehicles, guns, megacorporations, guns. The Borderlands series has it all, and it has guns. With 16 years of looting, shooting, and attituding under its belt, there's no wonder this series has become a beloved hit. That shouldn't take away from a more underappreciated aspect of Gearbox's first-person adventure, the story. Amidst all the goofs and gags, there's a surprising amount of heart at the core of the chaos. Stories of acceptance, loss, community. It touches on some notes one might not expect. And with 4 mainline games, 3 spin-offs, countless DLC, and the upcoming Borderlands 4 on the horizon, it can be a little daunting to hop right on in. But fear not, Vault Hunter, as I am here to help Sherpa you across Pandora and beyond as we... Sorry, throat. As we run down the entire story so far. This is your necessary lore dump for Borderlands. And as a quick note, I shouldn't need to say this, but it's the internet and we can't have nice things. So, spoiler warning for literally every game in the series. We good? Long before humans were a twinkle in a skag's eye, an alien race called the Iridians existed, building mysterious hidden caches of treasure and technology called vaults and guarded by powerful creations known as the Guardians. Amongst their many technological advancements and mysterious discoveries were the Sirens, 7 powerful beings, each wielding unique supernatural powers. Not much is known about them, even the earliest known Sirens don't know how they came to be, but we do know that they are typically female, only 7 can exist in the universe at any given time, and when one dies, another inherits their powers. At some point, the Iridians encounter this ugly mother bunker, the Destroyer, a gargantuan interdimensional beast that does what it says on the tin. In a Hail Mary effort to save the universe, the Iridians would use themselves as bait to lure in the Destroyer so that a siren named Nereid could use her powers to activate a machine by leeching the life force of the entire Iridian race in order to seal the Destroyer in a massive planet-sized vault aptly named the Great Vault. To do this would mean the extinction of the entire civilization, and as you might expect, not everyone was on board. So the leading Iridians constructed a guardian known as the Warrior to quell this uprising. In the end, the plan worked, the Destroyer is locked up, everyone is dead, and Nereid, fearing her powers could be used for evil, locks herself in a vault on the Iridian home planet of Necrodefeo to die in solitude, which in turn locked her siren powers away as well, so no one could inherit them upon her death. In order to guarantee their extinction wasn't in vain, the Iridians set up a system where every 200 years a false vault would act as a feeding pit in order to keep the Destroyer from getting hangry, calling upon poor future souls to seek it out like lambs to the slaughter. Harsh, but it's basically an intergalactic trolley problem. Many years later, the Iridians are forgotten. It is now widely believed that only 6 Sirens can exist at any given time, and humans finally developed faster-than-light travel to explore the galaxy. One of these would-be explorers was Typhon de Leon, a scrappy adventurer looking to get rich who stumbled upon a vault on the planet Promethea and sold its contents to the Atlas Corporation. The money funded many future expeditions for Typhon, who would gain notoriety as the first ever Vault Hunter. Atlas, in the meantime, went from a small company to one of the biggest weapons megacorporations in the galaxy, and began scouring various planets for vaults of their own, colonizing them through their own private military, the Crimson Lance. One of these planets being Pandora. Now, the Dahl Corporation gets wind of this and wants a piece of the action. They set up a mining operation as a front on Pandora and its moon, Elpis, utilizing convict labor to exploit resources while funding vault expeditions of their own. Over time, neither corporations find anything, really, and begin to pull out of the region with very little regard for the soldiers and convicts they leave behind, turning poor Pandora from a gold rush-style opportunity to a veritable wasteland of hostility. Dahl's iridium mining expedition on Elpis doesn't fare any better as they trigger a cataclysmic event known as the Krakening, breaking through the moon's surface, destroying the atmosphere, and generally making Pandora look like something out of an IKEA catalog in comparison. Elsewhere in the galaxy, Typhon wifes up a woman named Lita, continues on the Vault Hunter craze, and stumbles cockpit first upon the Iridian homeworld of Necrodefeo. With no way to get back home, they make a new life on the planet, discovering a lost vault, and celebrate. Lita gets pregnant with twins and dies during childbirth, leaving poor Typhon to raise the 2 kids on an empty planet by himself. Now, back on Pandora, 2 years before the first game's event, a doll researcher named Patricia Tanis uncovered fragments of a vault key, leading to the confirmation that there was indeed a vault on Pandora. Those key fragments were then stolen by bandits because a video game isn't a video game without a fetch quest, spread all over the planet, sparking vault fever among every maniac, ne'er-do-well, and treasure-hunting hopeful in the region, including 4 particular hunters who just so happened to make up the character choices in Borderlands 1. 4 vault hunters arrive at the dusty town of Firestone. An ex-Crimson Lance soldier named Roland, Lilith, one of the 6 existing sirens, the hunter Mordecai, accompanied by his pet Bloodwing, and this sexy meat slab of a man, Brick. Upon arrival, and conveniently when the player starts to get control, they're contacted by mysterious guardian angel through their echo device, who offers to guide them toward the mysterious vault. They also meet Claptrap, who, depending on how generous you are feeling, is the Orko, Slimer, or Snarf of the series. Acting on Angel's tips, the Vault Hunters begin cleaning up the town and hunting for pieces of the scattered vault key. It doesn't take long for the players to find one of the fragments, and even less time for the rest of the planet to discover that they did. Key among them is the Atlas Corporation, who send Commandant Steele, leader of a Crimson Lance regiment and a siren herself, to declare martial law over the planet, demanding all vault artifacts should be turned over to her. Also reaching out is Patricia Tanis, who informs the hunters that there is a vault on the planet that only opens once every 200 years, and they must collect the key and act fast in order to reach its contents. Those who are paying attention know where this is going, but let's play along. She offers to help the heroes find the remaining pieces. After various quests, boss fights, and key retrievals, the heroes set off to get the final fragment, only to find out that Tanis had the final piece all along and handed the fully complete key to Commandant Steele. Betrayal! Except maybe not, because when the heroes go to get answers, they find her locked up behind bars, claiming she had no choice. After freeing Tanis, they head to the vault to confront Commandant Steele, whose departure triggers Iridian Guardians to activate, conveniently giving the player more things to shoot at. Our heroes finally make it to the vault site, only to discover that Steele and her team have already set things in motion. Using her siren powers to reunite the key fragments, she opens the vault, only to immediately get shish kebab by the Destroyer and kick off the first game's final boss battle. Has it been 200 years already? My, does time fly. This vault is in fact the same fake vault created to keep the satiated Destroyer at bay. And while this form isn't the entity's true universe-destroying form, it's probably a good idea to put it back where you found it. In the end, Pandora's vault is sealed once more, the Destroyer has been slayed-ish, and the key is given to Tanis for safekeeping. Meanwhile, it turns out that Angel was communicating via a satellite controlled by Hyperion, another one of the weapon manufacturer megacorporations. Interesting, but that'll have to wait until the sequel, and there's a little bit of housekeeping that happens in the DLC. So Borderlands had 4 campaign-based DLC: the Zombie Island of Dr. Ned, Mad Moxie's Underdome Riot, the Secret Armory of General Knox, and Claptrap's new Robot Revolution. For this video, I'm only going to talk about the DLC that has some bearing on the larger story, because there's a lot to get through and I'm running out of throat lozenges. The Zombie Island of Dr. Ned is a zombie horde experience because, this was an FPS in the late aughts, right? Mad Moxie's Underdome Riot was really just an arena mode, so that leaves us with Nox and Trap, although Underdome is the introduction of Mad Moxie, who becomes a mainstay throughout the series. Shortly after the vault is sealed back up, the Atlas Corporation is unpleased about losing both the vault and their elite siren leader, Commandant Steele. A defecting Crimson Lance officer named Athena reaches out to the Vault Hunters to clue them in on Atlas's next move. The last high-ranking Crimson Lance officer in the region is General Knox, and he's trying to maintain Atlas's martial law, so the Vault Hunters team up with Athena to take on the remaining forces. In a series of quite literally explosive battles, they raid Knox's heavily armed outpost and infiltrate the titular armory. Athena and the Vault Hunters confront General Knox himself, who, fun fact, hates everything. Vault Hunters, Atlas, himself, puppies? Probably. I have no proof, but I've never seen him with one, so, He's a depressed mess, but because it's a video game and we have to shoot something, Knox puts up a fight, ultimately leading to the Vault Hunters defeating him and securing the armory and all its guns. I mentioned this game had guns, right? Of course, the vault was rigged to explode, leading to the world's most insane supermarket sweep as players have to scoop up as much loot as they can and get the hell out of Dodge. This final defeat forces Atlas out of Pandora for good. Athena goes off to become a freelance mercenary, and Pandora finally gets a bit of a breather from corporate shenanigans. At least until Claptrap's new robot revolution. Hyperion, the corporation whose satellite was sending the mysterious angel signal, has been quietly moving in on Atlas's turf. With the Crimson Lance out of town, they enact their plan to move in, but first need to deal with the remaining Vault Hunters in the region. They send an assassin protocol signal down to the robot sidekick Claptrap. However, it turns out that there was a bit of a rebellious code in the programming, and now the newly dubbed interplanetary ninja assassin Claptrap is leading a robot uprising, wreaking havoc on every human in sight. It's what I imagine would happen if R2-D2 finally got fed up and was just let loose on the Death Star. Realizing they have a problem of their own doing on their hands, Hyperion reaches out to the Vault Hunters to fix the problem for them and send them on a madcap battle to stop hordes of murderous video game mascots. In the end, the programming is deactivated, Pandora is safe, and Hyperion, well, that H satellite might as well be one big question mark, as we still don't know what they're up to. But we're about to. 2 years have passed. In-game. In real life, it's been 4, and we've had a whole other game come out, but focus, it's chronological. It starts when a low-level Hyperion employee named Jack, before his inevitable glow-up, sends out a distress signal. A Hyperion satellite, now known to us as Helios Station, is under attack by the Lost Legion, led by Colonel Zarpedon, who wants to keep Hyperion from exploiting the vault on Elpis. See, when Dahl pulled out of Elpis after the Krakening, Colonel Zarpedon and her force were left behind. Discovering a vault and getting a little behind on their own supply, they become the Lost Legion, and dedicate themselves to make sure no other humans could access that vault again. Answering Jack's call are 6, and initially 4, mercenaries. Athena, who we previously met on Pandora and is filling in for Marcus as this game's narrator, a cyborg mercenary named Wilhelm, the outlaw Misha, the huntress Aurelia Hammerlock, sister of a character we will meet later, Jack, kinda, it's actually a body double named Timothy who chose to do the surgery to pay off student loans, and Claptrap. They fly off to answer the call but are waylaid by the Lost Legion and end up stranded on the satellite. After saving Jack, they escape the station to Elpis' surface to find the source of a jamming signal that's blocking Helios' defenses. On the planet's surface, they meet Janie Springs, who hooks them up with what they need to survive the harsh landscape, and head to the moon's main city, Concordia. There, they go meet the mayor/sheriff, neatly just shortened to Marif, to help them shut down this jammer. But he betrays them instead! Betrayal! This time for real. So instead, they find a way to the Up and Over bar, owned by none other than Mad Moxie, enterprising young woman that she is. Within those hallowed halls, they also find 2 stars from the first game, Roland and Lilith, who initially don't want to help, but something's off about this Jack guy, and in order to keep tabs on him, they get involved anyway. Eventually, Helios comes back online, and it turns out the Marif is aligned with the Lost Legion. Betrayal! Which is fine. They wanted to kill him anyway. But Jack beats us to the punch. With Helios back online, the new plan is to build a robot army to take back the satellite. With help from the PCs, he raids an old doll robot factory to construct and reprogram an army of loader bots to assault Helios, battling through the heavily armed squatters. They confront Colonel Zarpedon, who confirms to them, and us, there is indeed a vault she was trying to protect from Hyperion, and is rewarded for that information by receiving a bullet through the head. Mazel tov, don't spend it all in one place. Jack becomes increasingly unhinged after Helios is retaken and fixated on finding the vault on Elpis, believed to hold immense power and riches. Sensing Jack's descent into his inevitable handsomeness, Roland, Lilith, and Moxie turn against him. Betrayal! And the race is on to the vault. Jack and his Vault Hunters versus the original Borderlands crew. Team Jack gets to the vault first, where they encounter the Sentinel, a powerful Iridian Guardian with many tricks up their sleeve. Upon its defeat, Jack enters the vault and finds not a whole lot, just a mysterious glyph. Disappointed, Jack touches it, triggers a vision of the future and a great power contained within Pandora. But that vision is cut short when Lilith shows up and blasts the artifact with her siren powers, shattering it and leaving a burnt vault symbol on Jack's face, forever scarring him into the deep, deep depths of handsomeness. Enraged, hurt, and yes, betrayed by the OG Vault Hunters, Jack goes over the edge and sets his sights on Pandora to learn more about his vision and hopefully kill all the Vault Hunters and bandits he can find while he's at it. First order of business, he walks right into the Hyperion CEO's office and performs what might be the most hostile of takeovers, claiming control and adopting the new name of Handsome Jack. Most of the DLC for the pre-sequel were the new maps, modes, and 2 additional characters, Jack and Aurelia. However, the one campaign DLC they did have was Claptastic Voyage, a Tron-like adventure that feels like the cross between Daft Punk and Looney Tunes. After the events of the base game, Jack begins looking through Hyperion's secret database where he discovers talk about a secret code called the H-Source, which can rewrite Hyperion AIs and systems. Now, this would give Jack immense power, but there is one issue. The H-Source was hidden inside the mind of Claptrap. How convenient. Thus begins an adventure where Jack digitally downloads the Vault Hunters into Claptrap's mind to retrieve the H-Source code. Inside Claptrap's twisted subconscious, the team eventually secures the H-Source for Jack, who then proceeds to execute his plan of purging every Hyperion Claptrap unit, leaving only the primary Claptrap we spent all this time tolerating as the only one in existence. Now Jack does what many of us have wanted to do for years, blasts his final Claptrap unit himself and dumps the poor robot's body on Pandora, where he is found by none other than Aurelia's own brother, Sir Hammerlock. These actions prove to be a bit much for some of Jack's allies. Athena and Aurelia both depart Hyperion, with Athena settling down in the town of Hollow Point alongside Janie Springs on Pandora, though it wasn't long before she started taking on other odd jobs, and Aurelia Hammerlock simply disappearing. Meanwhile, Nisha stays with Jack and becomes the future sheriff of a Hyperion-controlled bandit town on Pandora called Lynchwood as a reward, though we do end up killing her as kind of a short boss fight. And Wilhelm becomes Jack's number 2, continuing to upgrade his cybernetics until he becomes more machine than man. Now, between the pre-sequel and Borderlands 2, a lot is going on. Jack takes over and promptly massacres New Haven, the original home base of the Vault Hunters in Borderlands 1, captures and tortures Tannis for her vault key, builds cities and casinos and various other locales in his image, and basically rules over Pandora with an iron dictator-like grip, squashing any opposition in his way, including the recently formed Crimson Raiders, a resistance force built upon the remnants of the Crimson Lance, led by none other than Roland. It's also discovered that after the vault opening and subsequent closing from the first game, the valuable mineral iridium begins popping up all over the planet. With this, Jack doubles down his effort to begin his quest of mining enough iridium to charge the key and open the vault from his vision. This takes us to Borderlands 2. Among Jack's many hobbies is hunting Vault Hunters for sport. He invites them to come to Pandora, promising fame and riches, only to betray them immediately. Betrayal! Which includes our player characters. Axton, an ex-Doll Commando, a young siren Maya, the Gunzerker Salvador, the mysterious assassin Zero, and later DLC recruits Gage and Krieg, who was probably not lured so much as just already there. These Vault Hunters arrive via train, which Jack promptly blows up, kicking off the game with a crash directly in the frozen Windshear Waste. Here, the Vault Hunters meet the very Claptrap unit Jack left for dead, very much alive. Thirsty for attention as he is, Claptrap becomes their guide, leading the heroes through a bullymong-infested tundra to the town of Liarsburg, where they meet big game hunter, consummate gentleman, and Claptrap savior Sir Hammerlock. Hammerlock gets them oriented, and it becomes very clear that the PCs need to stop Handsome Jack's reign of terror. This is only exacerbated when the mysterious Angel from Borderlands 1 returns, claiming she wants to help the hunters stop Jack as well. This takes our heroes to the city of Sanctuary, where they team up with Roland, Lilith, and the Crimson Raiders and hatch a plan to take out Jack once and for all. The first step is to recapture the vault key from a Hyperion train, and for that, they join forces with the self-ostracized hunter Mordecai and the true star of the series, munitions expert and certified chaos muppet, Tiny Tina. However, instead of finding the key, they find a newly upgraded Wilhelm. After taking him out and stealing his power core, they install it into Sanctuary, only to discover that it gives Angel access to the systems, which Jack orders her to bring down the shields so he can fire on it from space. Betrayal! Turns out that not only has Angel been under Jack's control from the beginning, she's Handsome Jack's daughter. Oh boy. After some shenaniganery that has Lilith phase-shifting the entire city across the planet, Angel clues them in on some intel. She is another siren like Lilith and Maya, and Jack is forcing her to charge a vault key with iridium in order to unleash a colossal beast under his command to conquer Pandora and beyond. She makes a final plea. Come kill her and stop Jack's plan. After also recruiting Brick and bringing the original gang back together, they mount an all-out assault on the Hyperion facility to get Angel. There, they find her hooked up to a life support machine infused with iridium. As she pleads with them to put her out of her misery, Jack comes out to confront the heroes directly, but the Vault Hunters disable Angel's iridium injectors, essentially killing her to free her from Jack's control. Jack, enraged and grief-stricken, shoots Roland dead on the spot and captures Lilith, deciding to use her as the new Siren battery to finish the job. The heroes are left reeling. Roland is dead, Lilith is enslaved by Jack, and Jack has everything he needs to open the vault. Despite this, de facto leader Mordecai, Brick, and the remaining Vault Hunters push forward for one final mission, to get to the vault before Jack does. But Jack does get there first, and the Vault Hunters arrive just in time to see the Warrior, the gigantic monster initially created all those eons ago to quell the dissenting Iridians, awaken for a climactic final boss battle. Assuming you got good during your adventure, the Vault Hunters defeat the Warrior and put a bullet in Handsome Jack, ending his reign of terror once and for all. Lilith, freed from Jack's control, considers destroying the vault key, but when she touches it, it triggers a holographic star map of the galaxy, revealing the locations of many vaults scattered across the universe. Borderlands 2 ends with many questions. What will Hyperion do without Jack? Who will fill the power vacuum? What happens with Angel's siren powers? And where exactly are those new vaults? Well, some of that gets cleared up soon, but before we get into the Borderlands 2 DLC, we need to move away from the FPS genre into a different storytelling mechanism with Tales from the Borderlands. With Handsome Jack gone, situations on Pandora and within the Hyperion Corporation have gotten a bit messy, which we start to see from the eyes of two alternating perspectives, Reese and Fiona. Reese is a sarcastic, cybernetically enhanced Hyperion employee trying to scheme his way up the Hyperion corporate ladder. After his rival Hugo Vasquez beats him to the promotional punch, Reese learns Vasquez is heading to Pandora to buy a vault key, and so decides to hijack the deal for himself. Fiona is a clever con artist on Pandora. Raised alongside her sister Sasha by a grifter named Felix, they come up with the con of selling a fake vault key to a Hyperion buyer for big money. Utilizing a fence named August, Fiona and crew collide head-on with Reese and his best friend/sidekick Vaughn, and hilarity ensues, leading to a massive firefight, the fake vault key being exposed, and the briefcase of money getting stolen. Reese and Fiona, blaming each other, reluctantly combine forces to get their money back. Now, since this is a Telltale game, the story can take various turns depending on how you play. I'll try to stick to the main consistent beats while avoiding the specifics of my playthrough, but without playing every choice in the game, some personal experiences may just slip in. Ultimately, Reese interfaces with the Hyperion chip using the sci-fi aux jack in his head and ends up with a brain full of Handsome Jack instead. They are also betrayed by Felix. Betrayal! But in the aftermath, discover something called the Gortys Project, an abandoned Atlas initiative designed to track and uncover a constantly teleporting vault known as the Vault of the Traveler. Plenty of shenanigans continue, including Reese and Vaughn narrowly escaping death on the back of a loader bot who becomes a regular part of the team here, and we are introduced to our new villain, Valerie, a ruthless bandit queen and mother of the previously mentioned August, who is not too happy about how things went down. Valerie was behind the fake vault key deal, working with both August and Vasquez, and is furious it went bust. She forces the hero to uncover the Gortys Project, which turns out to be a tiny robot who needs some upgrades in order to uncover the vault. Naturally, Valerie is not the nicest of captors, looking to take Gortys for herself, and just as she is about to execute our heroes, everyone's favorite mercenary/Deus Ex Machina device, Athena, comes to the rescue and the heroes escape. She joins the heroes' crew for a bit, but that ends up being cut short as Brick and Mordecai from Borderlands 1 enter the fray and capture Athena, bringing her back to Lilith for questioning. We'll get to that soon enough, but this also causes Reese and Fiona to be forced back into helping Valerie find the vault instead. The final upgrade piece is back on Hyperion's Helios station, specifically in Handsome Jack's old office, as the AI in Reese's brain continues to make his life worse. To get there, our heroes enlist the help from lovable mechanic Scooter, who I've not really brought up because he's basically an NPC that provides you with vehicles, but has been a mainstay since the very first game. He builds them a rocket to fly to Helios, but in a bittersweet turn, Scooter sacrifices himself during the launch to save the heroes. Catch a ride, dear friend. You catch that ride. The team reaches Helios and Jack's AI helps Reese locate the Gortys upgrade, but then double-crosses him and seizes control of Helios Station. Betrayal! Jack's plan? download himself into a new robot body, and basically come back as an AI overlord. Reese escapes, and a series of events happen that lead to a massive panic, Helios literally falling from the sky onto Pandora, Loaderbot sacrificing themselves for Reese to survive, our heroes losing the Gortys project to Valerie, and Reese removing his cybernetics in order to deactivate and kill Jack for good. Oh, and Reese nabs a pretty important piece of paper, but that'll come into play later. While Reese is finally ridding us of Jack, Fiona discovers that during the chaos that Valerie forced Gortys to activate, turning him into a giant mech, now fighting the kaiju-sized Guardian of the Traveler. Valerie believes the monster can't be defeated, and decides Gortys must be destroyed to deactivate the vault, but is promptly pancaked during the Hoss fight ensuing, and Fiona uses Valerie's own rocket launcher to blow up Gortys' control beacon, disabling Gortys. This sadly causes Gortys to fall apart, the vault closes, and the Traveler disappears. In the aftermath, with the vault monster gone, our characters part ways. We then fast forward about a year later. Reese and Fiona are separately lured to the ruins of Helios, captured and reunited as prisoners of a masked stranger, being forced to recount their sides of the story, which is in fact the framing device of the entire series so far. Once they are caught up to this point, the stranger takes them at gunpoint to a location where it turns out the stranger is working with none other than Vaughn, who now leads a group of ex-Hyperion soldiers turned bandits. In turn, the stranger reveals himself as Loaderbot, who, unbeknownst to the heroes, did not die, but saw Fiona destroyed Gortys out of context and felt betrayed. Betrayal! So capture Fiona and Reese to uncover the true story. Now, with everyone on the same page, Loaderbot has a plan to rebuild Gortys and finish off the Traveler for good by sending a team to take some explosives into the literal belly of the beast and blow it up from the inside. They reassemble Gortys, the vault of the Traveler opens, and thanks to a sacrifice from Sasha, they detonate the explosives, giving Gortys the opportunity for the killing blow. Luckily, Sasha survives, and Reese and Fiona quietly approach the vault of the Traveler, which is now safely opened. Inside is a single treasure chest that the heroes open together and instantly vanish, ending the story with a big question mark. Now, backtracking a little, Athena. She was captured by Brick and Mordecai and taken to Lilith, who wanted answers as to why their former ally from Borderlands 1 DLC started working for Handsome Jack. Her narration of the pre-sequel we discussed earlier is her recounting the tale to Lilith and the Crimson Raiders at Sanctuary in this moment. Athena regrets her involvement in Jack's rise to power, but Lilith still blames her, claiming if she hadn't helped, Roland might still be alive. She orders an execution, but lo and behold, Deus Ex Machina returns with a vengeance. The Watcher, a mysterious Iridian Guardian last seen alongside Colonel Zarpedon in the pre-sequel, stops the bullets Magneto-style in their tracks and warns that war is coming, and they will need every Vault Hunter they can get. On that cryptic note, and before heading into Borderlands 3, we can finally get into the Borderlands 2 DLC. This saw a lot of extras being added. The previously mentioned Gage and Krieg, upgrade packs, headhunter packs, campaigns introducing us to Mr. Tor, Captain Scarlet, the much-beloved Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, which was a goofy D&D-inspired adventure that actually became a heartbreaking tale about grievance and accepting loss that was so good it was basically spun off into its own game, none of which has any real bearing on the main story, except for one. Commander Lilith in the fight for Sanctuary. Taking place between Tales and Borderlands 3, Pandora has almost found peace. As much peace as a gun-infested psycho planet with only hostile wildlife can get. At least there were no world-ending threats looming, except, unbeknownst to Lilith and her band of Crimson Raiders, a threat was brewing beneath Pandora's surface in an old doll mine where one Colonel Hector and his soldiers were trapped years ago. Having once been promised that they would inherit a lush, green, beautiful planet for themselves, Hector and his band were betrayed and left to die. What? I can't keep doing it. The joke. Betrayal! With Doll's broken promise of paradise, Hector decides to create his own paradise in Pandora by force. Dubbed the New Pandora Army, he attacks the Crimson Raiders using a bioweapon that turns people into mindless plant hybrid zombies and spawns giant overgrown vegetation everywhere. Throughout the adventure, an antidote is created, and Hector, fully taking in fumes and becoming more vegetation than vegetarian, attempts to fuse with Sanctuary, the key and the all-important vault map that they discovered at the end of Borderlands 2. Using as much iridium as can fit in the player's inventory, they supercharge Lilith's siren power so that she can destroy a major chunk of Sanctuary, taking Hector and the map along with it. Well, there goes our Borderlands 2 MacGuffin. But all is not lost, as Lilith feels a special connection to the vaults. and the Raiders decide now is the time to scour the galaxy and keep the vaults out of the hands of the corporations. This creates a great reset as we venture further into the galaxy with Borderlands 3. Woo! Alright, remember the twins from like way back in the beginning of this video? Well, at this point, they are old enough to drink and, to put it lightly, awful. They grow to resent their parents, and more dangerously so, are sirens. See, it turns out that the celebration in the vault and the eventual conception led to a host for Nereid's siren powers that she had locked up eons ago. Initially conjoined twins, Typhon was able to separate the two, but this led to the incredibly rare occurrence of a siren's power being split between two people, and an equally rare occurrence of a male siren. The twins, Tyreen and Troy, ditched their beleaguered father, escaped Necrodefeo, and honed their siren powers. Now, in the 6 years following the end of Borderlands 2 DLC, the twins arrive on Pandora, use their powers, and the power of social media to create a cult called the Children of the Vault, which has essentially overrun Pandora. The game now begins with Lilith sending out a distress call across the galaxy for new Vault Hunters to help fight back the newly dubbed Calypso twins. And answering the call are our 4 new playable hunters. Amara, a no-nonsense siren brawler with glowing ethereal arms. Mose, a soldier who pilots a giant mech suit. The robotic hunter Flack, flanked by his pet aliens. And the semi-retired corporate hitman and the only hunter to receive a last name so far, Zamed Flint. Those 4 arrive on Pandora and quickly prove their mettle by helping Lilith's raiders secure an area from the cult. Lilith, now operating out of a makeshift camp called Pandora's Last Light, briefs them on the situation. The Calypso twins are searching for vaults beyond Pandora, and with the help of their cultist army, have managed to nab the vault key fragments that were previously scattered from the explosion at Sanctuary. Those fragments have pointed them to the next vault on the planet Promethea. But before the Crimson Raiders can relocate, the twins make a dramatic entrance. Tyreen ambushes Lilith and uses her siren ability Phase Leech to drain away the Firehawk energy that Lilith has wielded since we first met her. This is the same ability Nereid used to drain the entire Iridian population to lock up the Destroyer. Now Lilith is left powerless, and the twins broadcast a galaxy-wide message of their triumph as they depart for Promethea. Fortunately, Ellie, Scooter's sister and a series mainstay since Borderlands 2, has prepared Sanctuary 3, a spaceship and new headquarters for the Crimson Raiders. Lilith orders the crew to pursue the Calypsos to Promethea, and the great space race is on. In an interesting turn of events, Atlas has been reformed back on Promethea. Turns out that during Hyperion's rise to power, Atlas went bankrupt and Handsome Jack claimed the deed to the business to become the legal owner, as legal as it can be in the world of Borderlands. Now, remember that important piece of paper Reese grabbed in Tales? Well, that was the deed, and now Reese, using his newfound vault resources and mustache, has rebuilt Atlas to become the new CEO, alongside the help of his friend Lorelei and Borderlands 2 hunter, Zero. When the players arrive, we find Atlas under siege by the Malawan Corporation, who wants Atlas's tech and has struck a deal with the Calypsos to share resources. Atlas and the Raiders combine forces, and Reese reveals that Promethea has its own vault key, but like many vault keys, it has been fragmented. One piece is discovered to be on the planet Athenas. So Lilith dispatches the Vault Hunters to the monastic planet, where we get to catch back up with Borderlands 2 siren Maya, who has also been training her young apprentice Ava, and are also fighting off Malawan's military. They fight off the opposing forces, and over the course of the game, these ragtag heroes collect the remainder of the key fragments to open Promethea's vault, hoping to beat the Calypso twins there. Inside the vault, they find its guardian monster, the Rampager, because nothing is ever easy. And after you do all the hard work of killing this ugly beast, Tyreen and Troy show up. Turns out they don't want the loot, they want the Rampager. And Tyreen once again uses her Phase Leech ability to loot the corpse and absorb the vault monster's power. This has been the plan all along. They intend to leech the power of every vault monster to charge themselves up in order to eventually open the Great Vault and consume that power too, essentially making Tyreen a god. During the confrontation, Troy Calypso, who isn't nearly as powerful given the conjoined and separated status, but still has a semblance of his sister's leech power, grabs Ava in the vault. Maya intervenes to save her apprentice, and in the struggle, Troy uses his parasitic link to Tyreen to steal Maya's powers, killing Maya in the process. Ava watches her mentor disintegrate, and the Calypsos escape, leaving our heroes devastated. Things are looking rough. Lilith has lost her powers, Maya is dead, Ava is grieving, and the Calypsos are one step ahead. But Patricia Tannis, who has been a key member of the Crimson Raiders in her circle from the start, comes up with a plan. They decide to preemptively hunt down the remaining vaults and kill the Guardians within before Tyreen can absorb them. Starting with Eden 6, a swampy backwater planet home to the heir of the Jacobs family, Wainwright Jacobs, who's in a bit of a pickle himself. Both Wainwright's rightful estate and his partner Sir Hammerlock have been captured by the Children of the Vault. Condensing hours of gameplay into mere minutes, the hunters save Sir Hammerlock, discover that his sister and pre-sequel DLC character Aurelia is behind the takeover working with Troy Calypso. She's defeated, the heroes get the key, and are face-to-face with an already released Guardian called the Grave Ward. Thankfully, our Vault Hunters are able to take the Grave Ward down before Tyreen can show up to absorb it, with Tannis absorbing the creature's life source through science and denying them that boost. Frustrated, the twins ambush our heroes once again, and this time kidnap Tannis to live stream her execution. The Vault Hunters race back to Pandora, infiltrate the COV's Carnivora Festival, which is taking place on a giant roaming vehicular arena, and defeat the host of the event, Pain and Terror. Exposing a cache of Iridium upon victory, it is all absorbed by Tannis? Turns out when Angel died in Borderlands 2, her siren status shifted to Tannis. All these years, she's kept it secret, studying its means and understanding her powers. Now, she finally uses it to release herself from captivity, exposing her siren status to the galaxy and helping the team escape. The Crimson Raiders regroup, but eventually discover that the Calypsos have collected enough energy to initiate the Great Vault's opening by activating its key, revealing to be none other than Pandora's moon Elpis. Troy, who has absorbed Maya's phase-lock power, starts pulling Elpis towards Pandora, triggering the Great Vault's opening sequence and tearing the entire planet apart. The Raiders launch an all-out attack on the Calypso's base to stop the cataclysm. They breach the COV stronghold and once inside confront Tyreen and Troy. Troy, tired of living in Tyreen's shadow, siphons her power for himself. Betrayal! And impatiently and impetuously takes on the Vault Hunters. In the battle, the Hunters kill Troy, ending his threat and releasing the power he stole from Maya to transfer to its intended target, Ava, making a very sweet moment as the young Ava becomes the Siren's successor to Maya's gifts. While the heroes are distracted, a seemingly dead Tyreen siphons the remainder of her brother's life force and attacks the heroes, escaping. Worse yet, the Great Vault is still partially activated and Pandora is semi-unstable. Tyreen now intends to go after the Great Vault herself. But when everything is at its bleakest, an unexpected ally emerges. Typhon de Leon, the first Vault Hunter, reveals himself and invites the team to Necrodefeo, the lost Iridian homeworld he discovered decades ago. When the heroes arrive, Typhon explains the truth and reveals the worst-kept secret I've kept since starting this video, that Pandora is the Great Vault, containing the Destroyer. To stop his daughter, Typhon has a plan. Use an ancient Iridian machine on Necrodefeo to seal the Destroyer for good. As they gather to activate the machine, Tyreen teleports in, damages the machine, and kills her father. With all the cards in Tyreen's deck, everyone heads back to Pandora for one final battle. At the edge of the newly formed fracture of Pandora's crust, Tyreen makes her move. Ready to ascend to godhood, the Destroyer, for the first time in thousands of years, emerges in its true form and comes directly into contact with Tyreen, merging together and transforming her to the gargantuan abomination called Tyreen the Destroyer. It's a battle 10 years and however many minutes this video has been in the making. But against all odds, Tyreen the Destroyer is defeated, killing both Tyreen and supposedly the monster she merged with. When she dies, the energy she stole flows out, including Lilith's siren powers, reactivating her abilities once more. Yet, victory comes at a price. Even with Tyreen gone, Pandora is still unstable and Elpis is still hanging dangerously low in the sky. In an epic climax, Lilith blasts her way up into the sky and using her siren powers, deactivates the key, stopping the vault and in turn planet from opening and saving everyone from annihilation. Lilith vanishes in the effort, leaving only a blazing Firehawk emblem in the sky as a signal for the entire galaxy to see. The threat of the Destroyer has ended. The cult is broken, and peace, for now, returns. A bittersweet end to the Pandora trilogy. But we're not done yet. Now, there is some fun DLC for Borderlands 3, and of course, this time sees the release of Tiny Tina's Wonderland spinoff, but none of them really tie into the bigger story, just fun adventures that see lesser characters return and get a chance to shine. But a year or so after the events of Borderlands 3 sees the story of the new Tales from the Borderlands, a mostly standalone adventure in the Borderlands universe with new heroes, but it's worth noting a few key story beats to show the aftermath of the corporate power shifts leading up to Borderlands 4. Now, this story takes place on Promethea and features a trio of lovable losers who get caught up in a corporate war for vault riches and notoriety. Our three protagonists are Atlas scientist Dr. Anu Dar, her streetwise brother Octavio, and Fran, a froyo shop owner. When the game begins, current CEO of Atlas, Reese, fires Anu for creating and using a non-violent weapon, because of course nobody will buy that. And at this time, Susan Caldwell, the CEO of Tediore, contacts Reese and begins an invasion of the planet. In the chaos, Reese's vault key is snatched by Tediore, and Anu escapes to the surface of Promethea. Down on Promethea's streets, Octavio is hustling to make a name for himself with his assassin bot pal Louis when Tediore's invasion hits. He crosses paths with his sister and Fran, whose Froger shop gets obliterated in the chaos, and the three unlikely allies band together to survive. They soon discover that Tediore is after something big beneath Promethea, a vault, no surprise there, in the sewers of the city. Venturing below, they encounter a vault monster called the Devourer, guarding a strange, glowing green shard. They manage to kill the Devourer and find that the green shard has healing and life-giving properties. They also discover it to be half of a larger gem called the Anahadium Shard, an artifact of immense power. Seeing potential, the trio get the crazy idea to pitch a combination of Anu's non-violent intervention and this shard as a revolutionary healing gun on the popular in-universe TV show competition called Sink or Swim. Amazingly, they win the contest, impressing a supposed angel investor who offers to fund them. Odd that they haven't played the first 3 games to know that to be wary of mysterious angels, this being no exception, as the angel investor is revealed to be Susan Caldwell herself, who set them up. Caldwell captures her characters and reveals her big plan. She possesses the other half of the Anahadium Shard. By recombining them, Caldwell can power a doomsday weapon capable of torturing entire populations into submission by repeatedly killing and resurrecting people. Caldwell demonstrates this horrific tech to the other corporate CEOs, basically blackmailing them to merge with Tediore or face endless agony. Before she can finish her demonstration, the shards take life and embeds itself promptly into the chest of Anu. There is more to the shard than meets the eye, however, as in her subconscious, a mysterious entity within the shard speaks out to her, calling for its twin. Anu comes to, the others free themselves from their bonds, and our team reunites just in time to see Caldwell firing her giant death ray at the city. Now, a lot can happen here based on your choices, so in lieu of committing to one particular outcome, I'll just get the consistent results here. Caldwell is killed, her mega weapon is destroyed, and the two halves of the Anahadium Shard fuse together into one complete crystal that flies off into space on its own. In the happiest ending, which I'm going to assume is canon here, although nothing has been formally claimed by Gearbox, the heroes stay friends and start a new business in Promethea using their tech for good. Reese has survived the invasion, still leading Atlas and regaining control of the city. As a fun little epilogue, the narrator of New Tales is revealed to be Marcus Kincaid, the man telling the story from the start, and is in fact recounting these events to Fiona, who we really haven't seen since the original Tales. Fiona deduces where that mysterious Anahadium Shard is heading next, teasing that this powerful MacGuffin may reappear, perhaps a thread for future stories in the universe. Which finally brings us to Borderlands 4, the upcoming game in the series. While not released at the time of writing, there are some details to shed light on. Borderlands 4 is confirmed to take place about 6 years after the end of Borderlands 3. The setting will shift away from Pandora, which has been the center of the saga so far, to an all-new planet called Kairos, where it turns out Lilith sent Elpis to orbit its atmosphere, and its dramatic arrival shattered a force field that had kept Kairos hidden from the rest of the universe, plunging the planet into chaos. Now, the planet is ruled by a tyrannical dictator known only as the Timekeeper, who apparently has been keeping Kairos in check. With the planet exposed and destabilized, 2 major factors have risen to oppose him: a group called the Rippers and an interestingly named Crimson Resistance. The Timekeeper is trying to maintain control by grafting a cybernetic device designed to dominate the populace and keep people in their place, including our newest batch of Vault Hunters. And who are these Vault Hunters, you may ask? Oh, there's Vex, a sarcastic siren with a bit of a chip on her shoulder. Ratha, a soldier who encased himself in a special exosuit to survive normal gravity. Harlow, a bright-eyed scientist who brings high-tech gadgets to the battlefield. And Amon, a Forge Knight survivor from a cult that worshipped a vault monster and now lives by a knightly code to hunt down those same creatures. It's been a long road of mayhem, miracles, betrayal, and yes, guns. If you followed this recap through, congratulations, this was a beast. But with the game's imminent release, it was likely still faster than playing through it all, even if just barely. From vault keys to vault hunters, sirens to psychos, we've seen heroes and villains grow, die, return as holograms, die again, and all the while had a hell of a time along the way. I tried to be concise and thorough as possible, which is a bit of a conundrum, but this was really the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there are plenty of side characters, quests, villains, and more that I didn't even touch on. Have any personal favorites I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments below, and for everything across Pandora, the galaxy, and beyond, stay tuned to Gameland. I'll be honest, I'm not sure that impression is particularly good, but hey, be nice.